So we are having Daniel Krzyczkowski today, our identity expert. Daniel, it's really nice that you found some time to speak with us. And actually, there is just one question to begin with, and not any other. What is actually a meaning of identity within our AI revolution?
First of all, thank you so much for having me here and inviting me to this conversation. So I believe that, when it comes to AI and everything what's happening around AI right now, when it comes to identity, I believe it's, basically for me, I see two words, authentication and authorization. And challenges related to that, because obviously when you think about AI agents, AI solutions, everyone is excited about building fancy things and accessing different kinds of I would say data sources or APIs and stuff like this. But we always forget about the identity part, which is actually to verify who is accessing the solution, and if this is the person we know, actually what are the permissions that this person has to actually access specific things. So for me in general, it's about about confirming who actually is using the solution, AI solution, and what kind of permissions this person has to actually proceed with different kinds of things. And obviously I'm happy to talk more about it because it's like a huge topic.
Yeah, because I can imagine that there are a lot of challenges right now within all the AI agents that are trying to automate a lot of things, a lot of stuff that we are doing daily, and how to proceed with these challenges that actually these AI agents need to act as someone, probably, right?
Yes, exactly. That's a very good question. So, actually when you think about those, let's say AI agents, obviously they can be autonomous, so they can, proceed with different kinds of tasks on their own. But actually it's important how actually we manage this whole, I would say, communication between different components. Because here is the thing, and I believe it's important to explain this. So when you think about AI agents, obviously you think about some kind of application that is performing different tasks on your behalf. So there is a user, Kajetan, and Kajetan is saying, okay, I want to use AI agent to, let's say, I don't know, I think perfect example can be to tweet something on Twitter from time to time, or access some specific data source, analyze some documents, and send, the confirmation to you, like, hey, Kajetan, this is the data set, those are the documents, I reviewed them, and now it's your actually, turn to sign them or review them. And I believe that, when it comes to managing the identity stuff there, it's very important to actually think about what are those tasks, how to actually implement this whole architecture and application and solution to make sure that actually user is in charge of all the actions that eventually are happening in the solution, and this AI agent does not have more permissions than the user who is actually using it. You know what I mean? So yeah. That's, I would say, just to summarize, the thing is that obviously AI agent can act on behalf of the user to complete some actions, but we should never, lead to the situation where actually we don't know what's happening underneath with different kinds of tasks, because we don't have control over it, and we don't understand who actually, accepted or proceeded with specific tasks.
Yeah, actually, this is what I was worried about at the very beginning when I was trying to identify what you'll be talking about in terms of identity within the AI era, that we are about a little bit threatened that that AI will take our jobs, will be fully autonomous. Mm-hmm. So I would then imagine that if AI will be autonomous, then they will have their own users to react on, and to act as. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, we cannot probably give them all the control over there and still be verifying. But also that's still something probably to think about, that when we will give them tasks to be done, we want some trace about this was actually something done by AI, not by the user. So do you think there is already some kind of I don't know, a guide to manage how to actually see that some actions were made by AI, not by the user?
So I think that that's a very great question and great point about what's happening with AI right now, because first of all, I believe that it's worth to mention that when it comes to identity, we already have some standards like OAuth, and like it's called delegated protocol or delegated permissions. When there is a user and user is actually consent or and agrees, so the application can execute specific tasks on behalf of authenticated user. That's how it's called. So there is a user is authenticating, and user is actually confirming that, hey, this application will gain access to this data and this application can operate on my behalf. And now the thing is that, when it comes to AI, it's, I would say, more complicated, because in the standard systems, when you think about accessing, let's say, different kinds of APIs, it's pretty straightforward. So there is a user, there is some interface, user is authenticating, application knows who the user is, and then also, application is communicating with set of APIs on behalf of this authenticated user. So underneath, we talk about ID token for the application to confirm who the user is, and set of access tokens to call those different kinds of APIs. And now the thing is that when we talk about this traceability, it's clear because we know who authenticated when, we know to which user and application we issued the access token to communicate with those set of APIs, and it's pretty, I would say, well known. But now in the situation where we have those AI agents and we say, hey, we actually want those applications to execute different tasks, perform them without the user context, I believe that that's the whole another discussion here, because on one side, the recommendation is that all the crucial decisions should be made by the user. So actually AI agent, before proceeding with some operation, should ask the user, to accept or deny. And right now, when it comes to identity standards, it's in progress actually when it comes to standardization, but you have this protocol called CIBA, for instance. It's called client-initiated back-channel authentication and authorization too, actually. And the thing is that when AI agent is executing some operations, and if there is like a final decision to be made, there can be a request sent to your phone, for instance, like, hey, Kajetan, do you approve that after all those different tasks I executed, I will proceed with the bank transfer? And you can either approve or deny, and then, agent will act accordingly. And the thing is that, in the end, when you think about it, it's always about the user. And even if you are accessing specific, data sources or solutions and you don't have user context, then you have to actually think about something what is called application permissions. So then you are limiting this access to only, specific things that actually application or AI agent can do. So I would say it's super interesting, but on the other side, it becomes more and more complicated and challenging when it comes to to handling those identity standards in the era of AI, because you have so many different kinds of scenarios, and not always you have the user context.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Then another problem is all this vibe coding that's really often changes our perspective on how we treat our code, and this is something actually easy to forget, the authentication and the authorization, yes, and to put the best standards over there within just vibe coding, like we don't know what we are doing at the end. But that's really good that you told me about the standards, and this is actually another question. You partially answered that, but we've got the standards. We've got the OAuth, we've got the OpenID Connect, and some other standards. We've got the OWASP 10. That is both for web development and AI right now. So do you see that the identity standards needs to actually change right now and be modernized to handle AI properly?
Absolutely, because obviously, like all those different kinds of scenarios we mentioned here, like, like even this asynchronous, like confirmation from the user, like AI agent is, like performing some tasks in the background, and at some point, it needs your approval. So, like in a typical OAuth scenario, when you are accessing the application, you consent in the real time. So there is, like the screen, you provide your credentials, there is consent screen like, hey, Kajetan, this application would like to access your profile, do some stuff and so on. You consent, and then, like application can call the protected resource, which is API, and perform some operations. In the era of AI, actually, when it comes to like this communication, it's asynchronous. So obviously, when it comes to identity standards, one of them is this CIBA standard, so client-initiated back-channel authorization, where actually, we had to expand, I would say, or explore new paths to actually cover those scenarios and challenges provided by AI. So, like with CIBA, for instance, there is this, like the whole protocol and standard, obviously related to and managed by OpenID Foundation, like to implement it correctly. So, like to send those approvals to the user and get the confirmation. But also, I think that the more important challenge here is how actually, or maybe let me tell this. Probably you heard about MCP, Model Context Protocol, like to make sure that, all those different kinds of systems can talk to each other and exchange some information when it comes to AI and to talk to each other. Let's say that, I don't know, like you have your application and your identity provider, and you'd like to securely communicate from your MCP server to Slack MCP server, let's say, to retrieve some information. And the thing is that obviously you could do some, like credential exchange behind, and it will not be properly handled, obviously. And that's why you need also another standard to handle it. And it's in progress right now, actually. So, like when it comes to this standardization from identity perspective, like the actually foundation is working to provide a way so you can securely exchange tokens underneath when it comes to access to different, sources and systems, but still keep the user context in it. So even if you are calling, Slack MCP server and API from your other solution, still Slack knows that this is Kajetan, and Kajetan has those set of permissions. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I would say it's still in progress. A lot of things happening right now in identity sphere, especially when it comes to challenges brought by AI. So absolutely, I mean, like it's interesting time for identity also.
But do you see that this is up to date with all the rushing development of AI, or is it still a little bit behind, and we need to actually wait a little bit before it will be production ready so that we can securely use it?
Yeah, so I would say this. Some part is, I would say, it is ready, like this CIBA protocol I mentioned. You can still use it, like Auth0 has support for that, so you can just integrate this in your .NET application using Auth0 and it just works. But, like for instance, if you think about the situation where you have different organizations and those organizations, let's say, have different identity providers, to handle identity, and different kinds of applications, and MCP servers, like to handle AI stuff. This is something that is not yet fully developed. It's in progress when it comes to identity. So I believe that identity is quite chasing the race. But not yet. I mean, like there are still some places where you will see that, hey, it's not mature yet, or it's being developed, and you will have to just wait. So it's standardized like OAuth was, and simple ID Connect to receive the ID token. You know what I mean? So yeah. That's how it is. So it's still challenging, and I believe that a lot of things happening right now in identity, and also I would not say that identity is fully ready to cover all the challenges brought by AI.
Okay, so still a lot of work on both sides, probably.
A lot, yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel. It was a
Thank you so
pleasure to
much.
have you over here, and
Great.
enjoy the rest of the sessions and
Thank
the
you.
conference, and see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you.